Hey everyone, welcome to SideQuest English, the podcast where we step away from the boring textbooks to explore fascinating topics, one random deep dive at a time. Today, we are looking at, well, imagine you spend your entire life dreaming of visiting Japan.
Oh, yeah, the ultimate dream trip for so many people.
Right. You save up all your money, you endure this massive 14-hour flight, and you finally take a train out to a small town near Mount Fuji.
You're ready for that perfect moment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You walk up to the famous viewpoint, you get your camera out, and you find just a giant black wall.
It is so wild to think about.
It really is. The town actually built a massive screen to completely hide the mountain. And why? Because the modern way we travel has become so chaotic, like so focused on getting the perfect picture, that the locals had to literally block out their own scenery just to survive.
Yeah, and I mean, it sounds like a joke, right? But it is a very real, very desperate reality for a lot of places right now.
It's crazy. Today, we are looking at how you travel. And more importantly, we are exploring why you travel the exact way you do and how to find that perfect magical balance between planning a trip and just letting freedom take over.
Which is harder than it sounds.
Oh, way harder. We are going to unpack the big debate between solo travel and group travel, dive into the psychology behind those choices, and explore how the internet is completely rewriting the map of the world.
Yeah, the digital influence is huge.
Absolutely. And finally, we'll look at the absolute best strategies for planning a trip without completely ruining your own vacation. I am so glad you're here to help us figure all this out because there are so many articles and Reddit threads out there.
Thanks for having me. It really is a massive topic.
Yeah.
And it's this perfect mix of, hard behavioral science, economics, and just very human experiences.
Yeah, totally.
Because to understand how to plan a trip, we first have to figure out who is actually going on the trip. Like, that foundational choice changes the entire reality of the destination.
Okay, let's unpack this. Solo travel. There is this huge romantic appeal to just going it alone, isn't there?
No, absolutely. It's heavily marketed to us.
Right. It is sold to us as the ultimate freedom. Like, you can wake up exactly when you want. If you decide you want to eat potato chips for breakfast and just stare at a wall, nobody can stop you.
Nobody is going to judge you.
Exactly. You can change your mind at the last absolute second.
Yeah, that is the core promise of solo travel. You have complete, total control over your itinerary.
No arguing about where to eat dinner.
Exactly. There is no emotional bartering. But beyond just the freedom to eat whatever you want for breakfast, there's a much deeper behavioral benefit.
Oh, really? Like what?
Well, when you travel alone, you are essentially forced to interact with the world around you.
Wait, is that actually true, though?
Yeah.
Because I feel like I see solo travelers all the time, and they just, put on their noise-canceling headphones, stare at Google Maps on their phones, and literally never speak to a single person.
That is a very fair point. And technology definitely allows us to build a digital bubble for sure.
Yeah, the smartphone shield.
Right. But fundamentally, when you do not have a friend standing next to you, your safety net is gone.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Like, when the map fails, or you cannot figure out how to buy a train ticket from a machine, you have to look up.
You actually have to talk to someone.
Exactly. You have to ask a local shop owner for directions. You have to engage. And those small friction points often lead to a much deeper, more authentic understanding of the country.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, you become an active participant in the environment rather than just a passive observer watching it alongside your best friend.
I can see that. Without your familiar safety blanket, you have to actually participate in the culture. But, this ultimate freedom has some serious drawbacks, too.
Oh, definitely. It's not all glamorous.
First of all, it can be incredibly lonely. Like, you could be looking at the most beautiful sunset of your life over the ocean, and you turn around to say, wow, look at that, and you're just talking to a seagull.
Yeah, the highs can sometimes feel a bit empty if you can't share them.
Right. And maybe even worse than the loneliness, solo travel can absolutely destroy your wallet. The sources were saying it can be up to 50% more expensive to go alone.
The financial penalty for traveling alone is very steep. The entire travel industry, from hotels to restaurants to taxis, is built for pairs.
It's a two-person world.
It really is. When you are alone, you do not have anyone to split the cost of a hotel room with. You absorb the full cost of every taxi ride.
Ouch.
And if you try to join certain guided tours or, go on a cruise, you get hit with something called a single supplement.
Which sounds like a daily vitamin, but it is actually terrible for your health.
Exactly. A single supplement is an extra fee that tour operators charge solo travelers. Basically, they are punishing you for taking up a room that could hold 2 paying customers.
That is so unfair.
It can sometimes double the total price of your trip. You are paying a massive premium just for the privilege of not having a roommate.
That feels like a scam.
Yeah.
But I guess it perfectly introduces the other side of the coin. Group travel.
Right, the complete opposite approach.
Yeah, and there is a lot of comfort in group travel. You sign up, you pay a flat fee, and suddenly you have ready-made friends and absolutely zero stress about logistics.
You don't have to think about a thing.
You do not have to worry about missing a train or finding a safe hotel.
Yeah.
The guide just handles it.
And returning to the financial side, group travel can actually be significantly cheaper in certain complex environments.
Like where?
For example, if you want to travel through remote regions of Borneo or Laos, group tours benefit from economies of scale.
Because spreading the cost of an expensive resource across more people makes it cheaper for everyone individually.
Right. Renting a private jeep and a driver to cross a jungle in Borneo might cost a fortune for one person.
I can't even imagine.
But if you split that exact same jeep among 15 people on a tour, it becomes highly affordable. Plus, in these complex regions, a group tour usually provides a guide who acts as a cultural translator.
Which is huge if you don't speak the language.
Exactly. If you do not speak the local language, having a built-in guide is incredibly valuable for navigating daily interactions safely.
I totally get the appeal, but honestly, group travel sounds like a nightmare for one specific reason.
Let me guess, the itinerary.
Yes, the complete loss of control. If you are on a group tour, you might be forced to visit 6 different historical museums in one day.
Which is a lot of museums.
What if you absolutely hate museums? What if you just want to sit at a cafe and drink espresso? Does not matter. The itinerary rules your life, and you just have to follow the person holding the little flag.
It is the ultimate sacrifice of autonomy for the sake of convenience. You give up your personal preferences to keep the collective group moving smoothly.
It makes me think of an analogy. I feel like solo travel is like driving your own car.
Okay, I like this.
Yeah, like you can take any crazy detour you want, you can listen to whatever music you want, but you have to pay for all the gas yourself, and if you get a flat tire, you are the one fixing it.
You're completely responsible for everything.
Right. And group travel, on the other hand, is like riding a city bus. It's way cheaper, you can sit back and read a book, but you definitely cannot tell the bus driver to stop at a random bakery just because it looked cute out the window.
That is a brilliant way to visualize it. And this choice between the car and the bus, between solo and group travel, it is not just a practical decision about money or convenience.
No.
No, it actually reveals a tremendous amount about our psychology and what we subconsciously need for our own mental well-being at that specific moment in our lives.
Okay, so if we look under the hood of why we choose the car or the bus, what is actually going on in our brains?
What's fascinating here is a psychological concept called self-repair.
Self-repair, like fixing a broken engine, but for your mind.
Exactly. Think about your normal daily life. You are constantly performing for other people, right?
Oh, for sure.
You are acting a certain way for your boss, a different way for your family, and another way for your friends. This constant social performance creates a buildup of stress hormones, like cortisol.
It's exhausting.
It is. And solo travel completely removes you from those interpersonal pressures.
Because nobody in this new country knows who you are. You have no reputation to maintain.
Precisely. When you are entirely alone in a new environment, you stop performing.
You could just be.
Right. This lack of social pressure allows for very deep self-reflection. You are forced to rely entirely on yourself to solve problems, which builds internal confidence.
That makes a lot of sense.
You are essentially repairing your core sense of self without any external influence telling you who you should be. It is a neurological reset.
That sounds incredibly peaceful, just a complete drop in cortisol. But what about the people who choose the bus? The group travelers, what are they getting out of it?
Well, group travel activates a completely different psychological state called public self-awareness.
Public self-awareness, meaning you are hyper-aware of how others in the group are perceiving you.
Yes, and that sounds stressful, but it serves a vital evolutionary purpose.
Like surviving in a tribe.
Exactly. Humans are tribal creatures. We survived by forming groups. When you travel with a group, you are constantly negotiating. You might want to eat Italian food, but the group wants Thai food, so you compromise.
Which, again, sounds annoying to me.
It can be. But psychologically, this act of compromising for the sake of the group, this emotional bartering system, actually builds very strong relationship bonds.
Oh, I see.
When you give up your preference for the good of the tribe, you create a sense of belonging and shared memory. It fulfills a deep evolutionary craving for connection and community.
That makes a lot of sense. It really comes down to whether your brain needs a trip to rebuild your individual identity or a trip to connect and build a tribe.
Exactly. It's about what you need right then.
And speaking of different types of brains, there are some wild insights out there about personality types, specifically introverts and extroverts. People talking about this on forums like Reddit and Lemonade really challenge the basic stereotypes.
They completely flip our assumptions upside down, don't they?
They totally do. You would logically think extroverts would love big group tours, and introverts would hide alone in private hotel rooms.
That's what most people assume.
Right. But the reality is much more complicated. Surprisingly, introverts often love solo travel, but they frequently choose to stay in loud, busy, shared hostels.
Which seems completely counterintuitive at first glance.
Holy.
Why would an introvert who loses energy in crowds want to share a sleeping space with 6 total strangers?
Right. I was so confused by this. But the way they explain it is actually brilliant.
How so?
Introverts use the crowded hostel as a controlled safe space to practice socializing on their own terms. If they traveled with their best friends, there is constant pressure to be on.
Oh, because friends expect you to interact with them constantly.
Exactly. But when they are solo in a hostel, there are no expectations.
Right.
They can sit in the common room, chat with a stranger for 10 minutes, and the exact second their social battery hits 0, they just climb into their bunk bed, pull the curtain shut, put on headphones, and nobody judges them.
Wow, so it gives them a dial to perfectly control the volume of their social life?
Exactly.
They get connection without obligation. And on the flip side, the extroverts reporting on their solo travels face a completely different, almost terrifying challenge.
Oh yeah, they struggle.
Extroverts love the total freedom of the solo car, but they have to actively prepare for the quiet moments.
Because if an extrovert goes too long without talking, they start to lose their minds.
Exactly. For an extrovert, external stimulation is how they recharge. The silence of a solo hotel room can quickly turn into a feeling of deep isolation and anxiety.
So what do?
So to combat this, extroverts often use specialized travel apps, like one called Trip BFF, to actively hunt for fellow travelers.
Wait, like a dating app for travel buddies?
Pretty much. They have to intentionally construct a social network on the fly so they do not feel entirely disconnected from humanity.
That is wild. It just shows that no matter your personality, you have to actively manage your own mental energy. You have to know your own brain.
You really do.
And unfortunately, for a huge portion of travelers, a massive amount of that mental energy has to be spent purely on physical safety.
Right. This is a crucial, unavoidable reality, particularly highlighted by solo female travelers in the sources.
Yeah, it's intense.
Solo travel, especially for women, requires a significant amount of extra mental RAM-like computer memory in the brain, dedicated purely to situational awareness.
It is a totally different landscape. The safety strategies out there are very specific. For example, experts strongly recommend never booking a ground floor hotel room.
Just because they are much easier to break into.
Yep. They also say you should always check the back of your door for a peephole before accepting a room so you can see who is knocking. And a massive rule: never, ever tell a stranger exactly where you're staying.
Even an innocent-sounding question from a friendly local or a fellow tourist at a coffee shop needs to be handled with extreme caution.
You just can't risk it.
Right. And this constant state of hypervigilance, always checking your surroundings, watching your drink, mentally mapping your route back to the hotel before the sun goes down, is a heavy psychological load.
It has to be exhausting.
It is a tax on your energy that group travelers who are shielded by the safety of numbers rarely have to pay.
So your internal psychology really dictates how you travel. You choose the car or the bus based on your need for self-repair or social bonding. You navigate the safety based on who you are.
Exactly.
But here's the crazy part. We do all this work to protect our safety and manage our mental energy. And then we immediately sabotage it by pulling out our phones and telling the entire internet exactly where we are.
Oh, the irony.
Which brings us to the next massive shift in this deep dive: the digital influence.
The shift in the last decade has been monumental. We have completely moved from reading physical guidebooks written by experts to scrolling algorithmic feeds created by influencers.
It's changed everything, and I have a statistic here from the deep dive that is actually mind-blowing.
Let's hear it.
98% of U.S. millennials are influenced by social media when making their travel plans. 98%.
Almost everyone.
That is essentially an entire generation making geographic decisions based on Instagram and TikTok.
It is a staggering number. And it introduces a sociological concept that explains exactly why this is happening. In behavioral science, it is referred to as conspicuous consumption.
Okay, let's break that down. Conspicuous consumption, what does that mean in normal, everyday terms?
It means consuming things, or in this case, experiencing travel, not just for your own personal joy, but specifically to display your social status to other people.
Okay, so showing off.
Essentially, yes. You are traveling to acquire what we call social currency.
Social currency, meaning likes, shares, comments, and, jealousy from your high school friends.
Exactly. Peer validation. When you book a trip to Bali, you are not just buying a plane ticket to see a beach. You are buying the ability to prove to your network that you are living a successful, desirable life.
Wow. So if I hike up a mountain and see the most incredible waterfall in the world, but my phone battery dies and I cannot post a photo of it, did the experience even matter?
For a growing number of modern travelers, the answer is genuinely no.
That is so sad.
If it is not validated by their online peers, the experience feels hollow or incomplete. And this constant, desperate need for digital validation has actually created a brand new psychological anxiety.
What's it called?
We all know FOMO, fear of missing out, but researchers have identified a new evolution, FOLO, fear of living offline.
Fear of living offline. That sounds like an episode of a dystopian sci-fi show.
It does, but it operates just like a slot machine in a casino. It is a dopamine loop. People actually report experiencing high anxiety and having a miserable time on vacation if they cannot connect to Wi-Fi to post their updates.
So the lack of internet ruins the beach for them.
Yes. The pressure to maintain their digital identity completely overrides the actual physical experience of feeling the sun on their face or tasting the local food.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
And by interesting, I mean physically destructive to the planet. This trend of hunting for social currency and the perfect photo is causing massive real-world catastrophes. We are talking about the phenomenon of over-tourism.
Right. The impact on local communities is profound and often devastating.
It's just too many people.
When millions of people see the exact same photo on their feed and decide they absolutely must recreate it to get their own social currency, it completely overwhelms the infrastructure of the destination.
Let's go back to that story I mentioned at the very beginning about Japan. This is the perfect example.
Oh, the convenience store.
Yes. There is a town near Mount Fuji that happens to have a convenience store with a really cool, clear view of the mountain rising up right behind the roof. Somebody posted it, and it went viral. What happened next?
Chaos.
Total chaos. Thousands of unruly photo seekers swarmed this random street. They blocked traffic, they left mountains of trash, they ignored all local rules just to get this one specific selfie in front of a convenience store.
It's hard to believe.
It became such a nightmare for the people actually living there that the town literally built a giant black barrier screen to block the view of Mount Fuji. They had to hide their own national treasure to make the tourists go away.
It is a drastic, desperate measure, but it highlights how helpless local governments feel against viral trends. We see a very similar situation unfolding in Europe, too.
Oh, where?
Consider Hallstatt, a stunning little alpine village in Austria. It is widely believed to be the visual inspiration for the kingdom and the Disney movie Frozen.
Oh no, I can already see the avalanche of tourists coming.
Avalanche is the exact right word. Social media exploded with images of this picturesque town. Now, this tiny village, which only has about 800 permanent residents.
Only 800.
Yes, 800. They started receiving over 1 million visitors a year.
That is mathematically insane.
Their locals were completely overrun. Tourists were flying loud drones over their houses, walking into their private gardens to take pictures, and clogging the tiny streets.
Just walking into people's backyards.
Yeah, treating it like a theme park, not a real town. The village literally had to launch a campaign begging tourists to stay away and tried to implement strict limits on tour buses.
That is just awful. And then there is the horrifying story from Pamplona, Spain, during the running of the bulls.
Right, another huge viral event.
Because of social media hype and massive, uncontrolled crowds, the city's infrastructure just collapsed.
Yeah.
One solo female traveler shared her story online. All the hotels and hostels were overbooked months in advance. She had nowhere to go, so she had to leave her luggage in a locker at the train station and try to sleep on the grass in a public park.
Just sleeping in a park in a foreign country.
Yes. And the city, actively trying to prevent thousands of tourists from turning their public parks into campgrounds, turned the automatic sprinklers on during the middle of the night.
Oh, wow.
Right. So she wakes up completely soaked, freezing cold. And then the worst part happens. In the confusion, she gets robbed at knife point in the park.
That is awful.
It is a terrifying, real-world example of what happens when the city simply cannot handle the sheer volume of people flocking to a trendy, viral event. It becomes incredibly dangerous.
It really does. And these are extreme examples of physical infrastructure breaking down, but they illustrate a broader, more insidious sociological problem. We can call it the paradox of traveling like a local.
Oh, this is such a fascinating paradox, because nobody wants to be seen as a basic tourist anymore.
Everyone wants an authentic experience.
Exactly. We all read blogs about how to skip the tourist traps and travel like a local. But by trying to do this, tourists are actually destroying the very local spaces they want to experience.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it is exactly like the gentrification of a neighborhood, but applied to experiences.
Oh, that's a good way to phrase it.
Right, when tourists abandon the traditional tourist zones, the places built to handle them, and flood into quiet local neighborhoods, they displace the actual residents.
There is a perfect example of this from Hawaii in the sources. Let's talk about the Aloha Stadium swap meet.
That's a great case study.
A local writer explained what this place used to be before the internet found it. It was essentially a giant weekly community garage sale. Local Hawaiian families would drive their cars into the stadium parking lot before sunrise, open their trunks, and sell household items.
Just a normal flea market.
Right. Old clothes, used furniture, homemade tools. It was a vital place for the working class community to support each other and buy cheap goods.
But then the travel bloggers arrived.
They always do.
They started promoting this community market online as a hidden gem, where tourists could get a truly authentic experience and cheaper prices than the fancy shops in Waikiki.
And what does it look like now? It is almost entirely filled with tourists. Because the tourists brought so much money, the stalls that used to sell affordable local household goods were pushed out.
Because they couldn't compete.
Exactly. Now, it is just rows and rows of vendors selling mass-produced souvenirs, cheap t-shirts, and plastic ukuleles. By trying to shop like locals, the tourists completely displace the community, turning a vital local resource into just another generic tourist trap.
It raises a very important, somewhat sad question. Is there really such a thing as a hidden gem anymore?
Probably not.
In the digital age, the moment a hidden gem is posted online, the clock starts ticking. It is no longer hidden, and it will soon lose the very charm that made it special.
It is honestly a bit depressing. We have this immense pressure from social media to have the perfect trip, the fear of missing out, and now the guilt of ruining local spaces. So how do we actually escape this cycle?
It's a tricky balance.
How do you plan a vacation without destroying the present moment, stressing yourself out, or contributing to the over-tourism problem?
It requires a very deliberate, almost defensive strategy. And to understand that strategy, we have to look at the psychology of planning itself.
Because for a lot of people, planning is half the fun. Researchers from the Institute for Applied Positive Research conducted a study on this, and the results blew my mind. 97% of people report that just having a trip planned makes them significantly happier.
97%. It all comes back to how our brains process dopamine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it is all about delayed gratification. When you finally click book on a flight or spend an evening researching a new destination, your brain releases dopamine. You are experiencing the pure joy of anticipation.
So just looking forward to it makes you happy.
Exactly. During difficult, repetitive times in your life, like a long, dark winter or a terrible month at work, just knowing that you have a vacation coming up gives you a light at the end of the tunnel. It acts as a powerful, long-term mood booster that helps you survive your daily stress.
So planning clearly equals happiness. But there is a massive warning label attached to this. There's a dark side to planning.
There definitely is.
Over-planning completely destroys the present moment.
It is an incredibly common trap. People get so addicted to the dopamine of planning that they spend months researching. They create an intricate spreadsheet.
Oh, I know people like this.
Every single hour of the trip is color-coded and accounted for. But when you arrive, that tightly wound itinerary quickly turns into self-prescribed marching orders.
Marching orders, like you were in the military, not on vacation. At 9:15 a.m., we must look at the historical statue. At 10:15 a.m., we must eat a traditional croissant. At 11:30 a.m., we must take a specific train. It sounds exhausting.
Because it is. When you are constantly checking your watch to see what the next item on your spreadsheet is, you are physically and mentally incapable of absorbing the present moment.
You aren't even really there.
You miss the magic of spontaneity. And more importantly, over-planning actually defeats the entire medical benefit of taking a vacation in the first place.
Right, because scientific studies consistently show that taking vacations can physically heal you.
Yeah.
They lower your resting cortisol levels, they lower your blood pressure, and they can even reduce your long-term risk of having a heart attack.
Which is incredible.
But, and this is a massive but that is only true if the trip itself does not stress you out. If you are having a panic attack because your 10:15 a.m. croissant was delayed by a slow waiter, and now your entire color-coded schedule is ruined, well, your blood pressure is spiking, not dropping.
You haven't escaped your stress. You have just replaced the stress of your office job with the stress of extreme logistics. You are managing a project, not taking a break.
Okay, so if overplanning is literally a health hazard, what is the alternative? Should you just show up at a foreign airport with a backpack, zero plans, and just wander out into the streets hoping for the best?
Well, not exactly. Experienced travelers strongly advise against that extreme as well. If you do absolutely zero research, you might arrive at the Louvre in Paris only to find out tickets sold out 3 months ago. Or worse, you might find yourself without a bed, sleeping in a park with automatic sprinklers, like our story from Pamplona.
Right, and getting robbed.
Exactly. Complete lack of planning leads to a different kind of extreme stress.
So there has to be a middle ground, a way to get the dopamine of planning without the cortisol of the marching orders. And the travel community actually has a great name for this exact strategy. They call it the skeleton method.
The skeleton is the perfect structural compromise. You build the hard bones of the trip to keep you safe, but you let spontaneity provide the flesh and the muscle.
I love that visual. So what are the actual bones? How do you build the skeleton?
According to travel strategists, you only book the absolute non-negotiable necessities before you leave home. First, your arrival flight.
Okay, obviously.
Second, and this is non-negotiable, your first night's accommodation.
Which makes perfect sense. When you land in a foreign country after a 14-hour flight, you are tired, jet-lagged, and vulnerable. You absolutely need to know exactly where you're sleeping that night so you can get there safely. Do not try to wander around a new city at midnight looking for a vacancy sign.
Exactly. Safety first. And the third bone of the skeleton might be one, maybe two, highly popular activities that you know for a fact will sell out.
Like what?
For example, if you are flying all the way to Peru and it is your life's dream to hike the Inca Trail, you must book that permit months in advance.
Right, you can't just show up to the mountain and ask to walk up.
Exactly.
So you have your flight, your safe bed for night one, and your single big activity. But what about the rest of the days? What about the other 12 days of the trip?
Left completely intentionally open.
Just blank spaces on the calendar. Honestly, that sounds both terrifying and amazing.
It's the best way to travel.
But how do you fill those blank spaces when you get there? Without just staring at your phone and falling back into the trap of reading online reviews and social media feeds all day.
This is where we return to the fundamental idea of genuine human connection. Despite our heavy, almost addictive reliance on TikTok, Instagram, and Google Maps algorithms, the data shows something deeply reassuring.
What's that?
Travelers still consistently rate actual word-of-mouth recommendations from local humans as the most authentic, trustworthy, and rewarding way to find places to go.
So instead of typing best hidden cafe near me into a search engine, you literally just sit at a local bakery and ask the person drinking coffee next to you. Or you ask the person working at the front desk of your hotel where they go on their day off.
Exactly. When your schedule is entirely open, you have the flexibility to actually take that advice. If a local tells you about a beautiful coastal hike that isn't in any guidebook, you can just wake up and go do it. You don't have a spreadsheet telling you that you are supposed to be at a museum.
It is about leaving room for the unexpected. leaving room for the friction. That is where the magic happens, right?
Precisely. The goal of travel shouldn't be to perfectly execute a checklist to prove to the internet that you had fun. It should be to experience a completely different way of being in the world, even if it is a little messy.
I think that is the perfect way to wrap up this massive journey. Today, we unpacked a lot of complex ideas. We looked at how, whether you choose the ultimate, sometimes lonely freedom of the solo car, or the easy, compromising comfort of the group bus, the key is really to stop and understand your own psychological needs.
Right, you have to know what you're looking for.
Are you exhausted and looking for self-repair? Or are you lonely and looking for social bonding?
And we also discussed the very real dangers of treating travel purely as social currency. We have to beware of the dopamine trap of FOLO.
The fear of living offline.
Exactly. And deeply understand the physical impact our digital trends have on real local communities. We don't want to be the reason a town has to hide a mountain.
Definitely not. And finally, when you are putting it all together, remember the skeleton method. Book the absolute necessities. Secure your safety, but leave a massive amount of room in your schedule for magic and maybe a few mistakes to happen.
Because at the end of the day, the best stories you tell for the rest of your life rarely come from the days that went exactly according to a spreadsheet.
Exactly. Now, to finish off today's deep dive, so what does this all mean? I want to leave you, the listener, with a final lingering thought based on everything we discussed today. Something to really challenge yourself with before you click book on your next flight. Imagine you were going on a trip tomorrow, but you were absolutely forbidden from taking a single photo, and you were forbidden from telling anyone on the internet where you went. Would you still choose to go to the exact same places?
That is such a good point. This raises a profoundly important question about who we are really traveling for. Are we traveling to enrich ourselves, or are we just traveling to entertain our audience?
It really makes you think. I want to say a huge thank you to our expert for being the perfect analytical guide through this massive stack of travel psychology and strategy today.
It was my pleasure.
And a very warm thank you to you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep exploring the world, but make sure you are doing it on your own terms, and maybe leave the spreadsheet at home. We will catch you on the next one.